afternoon. Welcome back to my channel. So it dawns on me that a lot of things have kind of happened real quick with this build, and I might want to do a quick where are we and what we've got done video before I get cracked into the next wave, which again is going to see another wave of probably some somewhat rapid progress. So as you can see, the build part of the kit is done. In my last video, I put up some pictures of, where we were, putting on the cockpit, putting on the other detail pieces, and then getting this thing ready for paint. We have the basic paint down. What I've done is I did do a base coat of US green from Army Painter. I did that out of a rattle can. Then I went back and did pre-shading of the panel lines, which is something I've only done once before. And I think this is actually working on this kit. So I'm going to put up a picture right now of that.
So here it is before, and then with the pre-shading along the panel lines.
So that's a picture of the rattle can, or not the rattle can, but the pre-shading of the panel lines. Went around the whole thing, did a bunch of those up. And then it came down to time to put the final coat on. And that's where I kind of ran into something of a dilemma as far as what colors to run with. If you look at the actual filming model and then you look at the images from the movie itself, the ship is actually a brown gray. There really isn't a whole lot of green there at all. I think any of the green is more light reflection than anything. I'll go ahead and put up a picture that I found here.
So this is the actual filming miniature. It's sort of a grayish brown blah.
That was a photo of the actual filming miniature after some of the restoration that it had undergone. And then if you look at that as compared to also some of the pictures that, of the actual movie itself, you see it's more of that brownish gray. Now this is going to be going with a couple of APCs that are done in much more of the greenish color. So I wanted to keep the greenish tint. And so I was sort of stuck as far as what color I went with. So what I ended up doing was making a mix. So I pulled Vallejo's USA Olive Drab and Vallejo's Brown Violet. And I did this at about a 3-to-1. So 3 parts this with 1 part of that. And then about a half a part of Gray Blue. And this lightened it, brought the color back. This was really dark. And I need to go back in and do a lot of dirtying this down and shading it up. So, getting the panel lines to lighten up. Doing this mix with the gray helped keep that lighter than without it. So I went ahead, mixed it up, and made a custom mix of that color, which is about like that. And you can see the effect of that here. I'm happy with where that color went. Now, one of the things we're going to see is this model is prone to chipping. So where the paint itself chips off, that's going to be marks that I will actually do paint chipping effects with. And then if we flip this over, they're a little more obvious under here. That's what the underneath looks like. Again, we talked about the batteries. So right there they are. There's a card, magnet, doink, done. So now I can do some detail work up in here if I want and clean that up. We'll do some detailing work here. So this is now ready for detail painting. But first is, before I can do that, we've got to get our water slide decals on. So water slide transfer is done. Our next up Most of them, I'm going to just pull stencil data from previously used kits. I've got one here from a helicopter, a German helicopter, but we've got some nice stencil details or stencil work that can go in there. There also are some stencils that I can hand paint, so like markings, just red markings. But there are a couple that I had to get creative with. So the nose art, and so there's a big O1. So the number one for the kit. So the dropship is, it has multiple locations for numbers, and I have some old decal sets. I'm pulling these from, I believe, Warlord Games for some of their bolt action for the smaller locations for them, but I don't have anything that's big enough for that plate. So I ended up making some, and this is going to be the first time I have tried using white. We will see. We'll see how that ends up. Again, this is me stretching. You obviously do not need to do that. When you go to do yours, if you're going to try and stay true to the movie version of this, you can find the Bug Stomper nose art out on the interwebs. I ended up making my own. Let's see if I can get this thing to focus. Battle Boar. So this is, I'm modifying this a little bit compared to what, the actual movie miniature. I'm looking to duplicate this. This belongs to somebody else, and when pigs fly is something of a running joke with him. So Battle Boar. Also printed out pilots' names and then the O1. Now I realized that I screwed up because I printed out the pilots' names, and they're not going to work because this is white paper. Let's see if I can get this focus again. Thank you. Because it's white paper, those are black on white, so they're not going to be legible. What I'm doing with the numbers is I'm actually intending to cut out the number so that I can then put them on individually. So we're going to see how that goes. And that's, where we are and what I have going right now. So the next wave of stuff is putting on the transfers. Once the transfers are on, I'll seal it down. Then start detail painting, which is pretty much looking at the model and going, all right, let's highlight this, highlight that. I am saving the tip piece that goes here for last. Again, I can paint that up with what's left of this mix once that's in. But it's fragile enough, and because there's a lot of manhandling needed, that's how it would be, in my opinion, wise for me to wait. So I'm going to do that. So that's where we are. That's what we've got going for this. The next up then is the water slide transfers, and I'll probably throw up a couple of pictures of those once I've gotten there, or at least snag a couple, and we'll review those later. And I'm just kind of making things look sort of okay. Again, this is where I'm going to deviate from what the actual model kit or the actual subject had in the movie to more fit the use that it's this particular model is going to be used for. So thank you very much. Again, I hope we are now past the build stage and we're into painting. So I hope that where I've gotten so far, what you see here, has inspired and helped you guys who have this kit in your stash and are ready to be used, have gotten you to where you're more comfortable. If you were daunted at all, some people were, some people may not have been, are ready for the assembly and can get here. So again, questions, concerns, comments, please feel free to leave them. And again, I thank you very much for joining me on the journey, and I will talk to you again next time. Thank you.